And just before we get into the video, something I should have been doing a lot more up till now, and that is just asking you guys out there, if you enjoy what you're looking at, if you like what I'm doing, go down below, click on the like page, subscribe to my channel, and by all means, please click on that little notification bell. If that way you guys get alerted when I do get more new content up. I usually try to do the what's on my desk monthly update beginning of the month. And I usually try to get a video or a series of videos released by the 15th, the middle of the month. So whether that's going to be a tips and tricks video, or an aviation history video, or my time-lapse videos of the previous model builds that I've got done, or an air show video, or some of my new product review videos I'll be doing. So I want to try to get something posted by the middle of the month. So please, if you're enjoying this, subscribe, like, and click that notification bell. Let's move on to the video. Welcome back, everybody, for yet again another one of my model product review videos. In this video, I'll be going over the Promodeller boxing of Revell and Monogram's F-15E Strike Eagle. So this was a new tooled kit that Monogram and Revell released in 2001. And 2000. This boxing came out in 2001 under the Promodeller line, and they tended to have a few new parts added to it over the old ones. So let's get going on this. As usual, we're going to do plastic, and then instructions, painting guides, and then decals. So the box itself, it's quite a large box actually. The F-15 is surprisingly a large airplane. So it includes a few of the pictures on the side showing the versions it can carry, and on this side some details including the weapons that are included in the kit. So we'll get that out of the way, and we'll get some of this out of the way, and we will get started. I have not actually opened the plastic bags yet, so this will be a first. I'll be opening these bags basically as I film the video. So I'll get this one open. Before I stab myself. So we'll start with these kits. I'll do the clear parts at the end. So as I said, the why are these like locked together? Oh, it actually locks together. That's interesting. Oh, I've never seen that before. The plastic balls are actually designed to lock together. Interesting. Okay, well, that's a little annoying because it just doesn't want to come apart, but anyways. Come on. Okay, there we go. So, first part here has the lower half of the fuselage, some of the intake parts, the intake covers, which is a nice touch, as well as, I believe these are the horizontal stabs. So yeah, this is, considering it's a 2001 molding, Revell really stepped up their game. Lots of engraved panel lines. The panel lines definitely look to scale. They're not giant trenches or anything. Great molding. Typical Monogram plastic. It's that same feeling plastic that they've always used. I mean, just to put this into perspective with the size of it, I'll use my P-47. I mean, that is a big plane. Like, that is a monster plane. That's not even including the nose section or the wings or anything else. It is a big kit. Definitely need a bit of shelf space to display one of these, or hang it from a ceiling or whatnot. I don't even know if I want to have space for this thing when it's built, but damn it, I'm building an F-15. So here's the upper part. Again, you start to get a feel for the size of this thing. I'll use that P-47 again. Like, you could sit the P-47 just on the upper fuselage. So it is a monster of an airplane. You forget how big it is. So this sprue has the upper fuselage, including the air brake area. Some nice detailing in there. The venting is very, very nice all along the fuselage. Very well done. The upper horizontal stabs are included in this molding, and there seems to be a slight molding flaw in this one. Looks like there's a bit of a plastic swirl going on down here, and just got a slightly different texture and a little bit of a lip. You can kind of see that molding flaw, and there's just a hint of a lip there. I'm wondering if maybe that's one of the reasons why the previous... I bought this kit used, so it could be one of the reasons why the previous owner dumped the kit. Yeah, definitely, but it's on both sides, and there's a pretty large one. Yeah. Yeah, this horizontal stab definitely has a little bit of a mold issue with it. Both top and bottom halves have a bit of an issue. So, I mean, I could probably fix with a bit of sanding, but it may have been why another person would have got rid of it, just to save them the hassle. The main wheels are also here, and they have the weight on wheel look, the flattened edges on the tires. And now that I look through it, I realize that these parts are not horizontal stabs, because the horizontal stabs are molded in the plane. They are actually the wingtips. So there you go. So those are the first two sprues. Let's get these put back together the way I found them. Very interesting. I've never seen that. You can see there's these little tabs and slots, and all these two screws actually click together. I'm wondering if maybe there's probably the antenna. I bet you that's what it's for. There's antennas and stuff that stick out, and they are doing that to protect those little tiny bits from being broken off inside the box. I give them credit for, if that's what it is, lots of credit for that, because that is a very innovative little bit of technology they used. So get these big massive screws open here. So these ones, a bit more detail. We'll start with this one here. It includes those lower wing panels, the vertical tails, the burner cans for the exhaust. There's some nice detail in there of the afterburner ring. So those are included. Your air brake, your canopy, air brake here, canopy frame, part of your intake pieces are here, as well as your compressor faces for your engines, and you've got your forward nose halves here that go together. So again, lots of beautiful engraved detail, nothing too massive. All the rivet detail is subdued and small enough. Just enough detail that when you give it a little hint of black wash, everything will just pop. So very happy with that. The insides of the fuselage, you can see here, you've got some of the paneling, the circuit breakers that you would see in the rear fuselage, some of the forward side panels. The insides of the canopy frame are nicely detailed on both sides. If you have your canopy opened, you'll be able to see kind of all the detail that would normally be inside that the canopy frame. Very nicely done. This sprue here includes a number of smaller bits. So we'll start here. You've got your CFTs, conformal fuel tanks, on both ends. Those are sort of the signature look of the Strike Eagle. And then starting over here, you've got some of your landing gear bits. It looks like this is all for your nose gear. You then get your exhaust. These are the featherless exhaust, the turkey feather exhaust. They don't have the outer panels. If you take a look between an F-15E and an F-15C, you'll see that the exhausts changed on the F-15E. They look like this. You can see all the mechanisms that allow it to move. So that'll be nice. Do that up in some Alclad metallizers, bit of black wash. That'll turn out nice. I'm pretty sure these are all of your bits that go on here, all of your control rods for your afterburner feathers. Looks like you got some antennas and control sticks, and these are your actuating rods. I'm assuming probably one's canopy and one is air brake. Moving on, you've got your ejection seat parts, some cockpit parts here, back of the ejection seat, your canopy ring. These look like they are the mounting lugs for all of your hard points. Moving on down here, you've got some more bits. You've got, looks like control sticks, some, oh, come on, my mind isn't working right now. Scissor links for your landing gears. You've got your intake trunking for your intakes. You've got your cockpit tub. Cockpit tub is nice. Looks pretty typical for a Monogram cockpit tub. You got some button details and whatnot in there. Nothing super crazy, but enough detail that with some black wash and detail painting and dry brushing, all those highlights will pop. Same with the instrument panels. Decent detail in there. You can see there's the instrument faces are molded on. So a bit of dry brushing will make everything pop. You've got your main gears, some more of your pylons, and some more of your weapon mounting lugs. So, you know, not terribly amazing. I like, you look at some of the newer kits and they have breakdowns. You know, it looks like they have a higher part count just for the sake of a higher part count, or they're trying to fit so many different versions of the same tooling that you have parts breakdowns where you really shouldn't, and it just makes everything look more difficult than it needs to. Whereas this, it seems like everything was put together in a way that makes it easy to assemble. So I'm not going to open up this bag right now. It's pretty easy to see what you're getting. You're getting pylons, you're getting weapons, you're getting targeting pods, fuel tanks, missiles, everything you need. So you got GBU, I believe there's GBU 10s and GBU 13s. Like I said, you got your sidewinders, you've got some AMRAMs, pylons, everything you need to build it up. So, good weapon sprue. Again, not something you normally see in a Monogram kit, a full set of weapons. So it'd be nice to get a heavily laden F-15E done up at some point. Your clear sprues are pretty simple. You've literally just got the forward canopy, the rear canopy, some lights, and a HUD. So nothing terribly crazy going on. There does seem to be a mold seam line running right smack down the middle of the canopy. So if anybody out there looks for a perfect canopy, you are going to have to do a little bit of sanding on that to fix the seam line that runs right down the middle. Again, that's kind of typical Monogram. They've never really been able to make a canopy that looks good. They always have those seam lines on there. So bit of sanding if you want to do the polishing to work to get it done. I'm probably going to leave it. I don't like polishing canopies. I usually end up ruining them. But for those of you out there who would like it, you will need to work on that canopy. This is definitely an older generation kit. There's quite a few newer kits out there of the F-35, of the F-15 that you can do up, and will probably be slightly better quality and easier to put together than this. So the instructions, standard of the later model Monogram instructions. The Pro Modeler kits, like I said, they tended to have some more detail. As I go through, I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So step one is assembly of the cockpit. They give you nice breakdowns for all of your detail work on your instrument panels, different color schemes, assembling the cockpit, the instrument panels, the control sticks, all that kind of stuff, detailing on how to do all your switches and buttons, your ejection seats get assembled, and again, all the detailed paint callouts for painting the ejection seats. Continuing for whatever reason, this is still considered step one. The nose wheel bay gets glued onto the bottom of the cockpit's assembly, and you have all your gear doors and everything else, and again, color callouts. And then here you have the nose sections being glued together, and you have optional whether you want the nose gear door open or closed. I guess there's depending on how the aircraft is shut down, it's in a different position. So look at some references, see which one is more accurate, and you can do either or. Step two, you start off by assembling the intake halves. They are seamed. There's going to be a seam running down, so you can always look at aftermarket seamless intakes if you're looking for a cleaner look, or you can try to fill and sand those inner. Luckily they're square, so it should be kind of easy to get in there and clean up those seams, especially the forward half where you're most going to see them. And then as it goes down, it won't be such a big deal. But you might have to do a bit of work if you're looking to do a really, really high detailed kit. They will need a little bit of work with the seams. And then down here, you need to open up the different holes to hold the different pylons. Moving on to this side, you're actually gluing the two fuselages together with the intakes in place, and you also have to put the cannon muzzle in here, and you have a little picture showing exactly where that goes, so you can make sure you orient it properly on the side. The next step, pretty big step here, we're only at the end of step two, and the main fuselage assembly is already together. Your cockpit assemblies get glued to your rear half, and your wings get glued. I do like the way the wings are done, where the upper wing is split into these two halves, and the bottom wing is one. If the seam here on the wing goes together quite nicely, that is a very, very strong way of making the wing. This ensures you have the proper dehydral on the wing. Your wings won't be in any odd shapes because these inner parts are holding that angle, and the outer parts all hold it together. And then because you have staggered seams, your wing is very strong. You're not going to have saggy bits. Everything will lock together like a brick wall and hold it up. So that's very nice engineering to make sure that your wings are going to have the proper angle and you don't have any droops or weird angles. Step three, your intakes go together. Not much going on in there. It's very simple. Step four, you're gluing your CFTs in place. Again, it's very easy. Hopefully, if all of their angles are right, that seam will be very minimal. This is a very large, complicated shape with lots of curves and angles, so it's very easy if one of these parts down here. Luckily, most of this is one piece. There's not any weird seams you can mess up, so that hopefully will mate very, very tightly and not have any gaps. Otherwise, it'd be very difficult to fill some of those gaps with all those crazy angles and whatnot. Hopefully it goes together. As I've said before with some of these models, this is next up online for me to build. So if you would like to see how this all fits together, keep an eye out on my monthly What's on My Desk updates. This should be coming up relatively soon. Also, if you are a few months after this video gets released, take a look down below in the description. If it's finished, the link to the time-lapse build of this model will be included down below. If you don't see the link there yet, just give me a little bit. I'm still working on the model. But you can take a look at my What's on My Desk updates, and you should see some progress on this F-15 and take a look at what I managed to get done. And this possibly will be in there already if this is something you're worried about. Moving on to step 5, you've got your external stores. So this is where you add all of your pylons mounted on both sides of the CFTs, as well as the long one that runs down the bottom of the intake. So that all happens in here. Step 6 is your main landing gear. The kit is designed for the gear to be down. With a little bit of surgery, you could probably build it with the gear up. You might need to do a bit of filling and sanding to make it work, but it is possible. Nothing's impossible when you have enough glue, putty, sand, and elbow grease. So anyways, this is the assembly now of the nose wheel, and down here it also shows you the correct angle that the kit should be sitting at on the gear. Make sure nothing is wonky. I like that little step to make sure you get the right angle. Step 7, you're assembling the exhausts. They give you call-outs as titanium. Again, take a look at your references. If you're looking for a detailed kit, you can get a good idea of what this is supposed to look like, and you can do some mixing and matching with some alclads, some metallizers, some weathering, make these exhausts look really good. It looks like you have enough parts you can make this look really, really good if you do enough work on them. I'm going to try my best to make these exhausts look absolutely stunning. As well, because they can be glued on after, you can paint these up separate and add them as one of your final steps and really make these things pop. So next up is your targeting pods. You've got your lantern your lantern targeting and lantern navigation pods. I have a feeling that both of these pods are no longer in service today. I feel like they've been replaced by different systems. Again, do the research for the time frame you're building. Make sure you're using the right pods and weapons. Step 9, missile and bomb assembly, starts off by doing pylons and then your different launch rails. You do have quite a few notes in here, so just make sure you're following the instructions and the notes for the version you want to do. Whether you're using Sidewinders or AIM-10s, changes which launch rails you use, and you need to make sure that you put the proper weapons together. Some weapons could be carried with others, so do your research, check your references, read through these instructions ahead of time, make sure you're doing what you need to do to get it done right. There's also a data link pod as well as an external fuel tank. Again, I have a feeling that the data link pod isn't used today. It's all built into the Link 16 capability that these aircraft have. So check your references. Again, it's all about doing your research to make sure you're putting the proper equipment on the aircraft for the time frame that you're building in. Continuing step 9, missile and bomb assemblies. Here's where you build your GBU-15s and GBU-10s. So they give you the build-ups here. Again, you can make sure you're using the right weapon for the right time frame. I don't believe GBU-15s are used as much anymore. We've moved on to things like the, my mind today is brutal. The JDAM bombs and a lot of that kind of stuff. So take a look. Again, you can get a lot of aftermarket weaponry if you needed it to make sure you're building up for the top of time frame. Next up, you're doing some fuselage detailing, your pitot tubes, your landing lights, all that stuff is being installed. This is the kind of stuff I recommend you put on after you finish painting. It's always hard to add some of this stuff early on and you're manhandling the plane and you end up breaking off bits and pieces. So it's easy to add all this stuff later. Same with this, your speed brakes. You have the option of going up or down, so you can pick which one you want to do. If you're going to do it after, I'd say do it after painting. If you're going to do it before closed, do it before painting. This is why it's always good to read through the instructions, build up a little bit of an order for yourself while you're doing this ahead of time. Moving on to, you've got canopy. Again, you've got some of these modeling tips in here. I think this is the extra stuff that's added in the Pro Modeler box. These little bits of pieces here. You got to install your head display and your forward glass, and then you assemble up your canopy with your frame and the forward frame, and then you have the option of going up or down with the canopy, so you can make sure everything's follow. Again, there's all these little notes and whatnot. Read carefully, make sure you're following instructions, get it right. I have a feeling that this kit will look really, really good when it's all put together right. 12, you add the vertical fins. And now this is a step I like if you want to build it on the ground, which I'm probably going to do just to make my life easier. You can put the boarding steps in place, have the canopy open, throw your intake covers on. You never have to worry about cleaning up those inside of those intakes. These will cover all of the sins that live down those intakes. Moving on, you've got your common markings. As you can see, there are a ton of stencils to go on these kits. One of the reasons why I say it's good to leave some of the smaller stuff off, leave those exhausts off, leave the pitot tubes off, do as much of this as you can before you do your final assembly. There's a ton of little stencils that have to go on this thing. Now there are two building options, decal options I should say. The first one here is aircraft 91604 belonging to 494 Squadron out of Lakenheath, England, and it is a Tiger Meat scheme that was flown by that unit in 1998 for the Fairford Air Tattoo. And it's a really cool scheme. It's got full color tiger stripes sort of down the leading edge of the intake and across the bottom of the CFTs. I'll zoom in here a little bit so you guys get the details. You can see this amazing, the shake. This amazing tiger decal down the side. So this is the standard decals, that markings that they wore, and then there's also the optional markings that were put on only for the Tiger Meat and only lived really on the airframe while it was in the Tiger Meat. Put on while it got there, taken off before it flew home. So they give you those options as well. So other than that, it's a pretty standard overall gray bird. It does, like I said, give you quite a bit of detailed decals to add. There's a little tiger head to put inside the main wheels, and there's a tiger on the inside of the air brake, plus the tiger stripes. There's a tiger on the tail, all these extra details on the nose. So this is a really cool scheme. I'll show you the decals in a minute, how great it looks. That's an interesting scheme. This is the one I do plan on doing. So if you are interested in these in this scheme here, and you want to kind of see what it's going to look like, and you're willing to wait, like I said before, check down, there you go, check down in the description. If you see a link to my build, take a look at it. You'll get to see how all this goes together. Make a decision whether you want to go down this route or not. If you're worried about it, you'll see it all go together. Last one here is aircraft 870192, and it's called The Outlaw, which is a really cool name. So it's based out of 405 Tactical Training Wing in Luke Air Force Base, Arizona. And I guess it is a training bird. So it has, it's a pretty basic scheme. It isn't as cool as the other one. It's basically what you'd get in a run-of-the-mill standard line bird. This is the bird I want. This is the reason I bought the kit. When I saw that was an option, I grabbed it off the shelf and walked away with it. So that was the instructions. Moving on to the decals. The decals are very nice. They are printed by Cartograph. Cartograph is definitely one of the top decal printers out there. So I'm very happy when I see Cartograph on the sheet. So included, you get all your instrument decals here for your instrument panel, so you don't have to worry about painting too many details. As I said, tons and tons and tons of stencils down here to go on the bird. And then you've got your tiger stripe. So here's what the tiger stripe decals look like on the sheet. They are quite nice. They've got a nice feathered edge to them, so you can tell it's almost a decal of the picture. They spent a lot of time making sure they got it right. The one thing to note is you do need to install the decals before you install the bomb racks. They do mention that in the instructions. So again, make sure you follow your instructions and follow ahead and do what you need to do. But as I said, great decals with the tiger heads on the main wheels and everything else. So it is a really, really cool decal sheet, and I'm very interested to see how this goes on. So all in all, I'm pretty impressed with this kit. I definitely say it's worth getting. It might take a little bit of extra skill, especially if you plan on doing that Tiger Meat one. So don't jump into it if you're new to the modeling industry. It does take a little bit of skill and practice. But there you have it. That is the Monoram Promodeller F-15E Strike Eagle. Really excited for this build. I'm glad I'm getting this one done. And thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching, guys, and as always, if you are interested in any of the content you see, you can access my website at www.seans-aviation.com. You can see all the latest pictures of aircraft and museums and the build logs of all of my current models and past models on that site. And if you're interested in any of this content, please click the subscribe button here on YouTube to follow more. Thank you very much, and see you guys next time.